Hello, welcome back. I'm Sam and this is SC Classics. Hello, welcome back to the channel. Sorry about the break in content. It's been a pretty chaotic few weeks. I have been filming stuff, not as much as it should be. I was just having a problem getting time to get the videos edited and get them out. So yeah, I do apologise. I'll try and get back to me one a week videos. As you can see, it's been pretty chaotic. There's another 2 cars turned up out the back. Yeah, it's been very busy. I have been working on the usual Scarlet Frank, the XR2, the Blue Mark 1. I just haven't had time to get a video out. It's just a busy time in my life at the minute. I have filmed some content on this, so what you might notice is some of the content, I've got a big bushy beard and long hair, and that's because I filmed it weeks ago, and I had a haircut and stuff last week for my stag do, which I survived, thankfully. But yeah, I'm going to show you what I've been up to on the Mark 1 Escort and catch up on things. In this video, I'll be doing some more on the blue YB powered Mark 1 Escort. I did cheat and did some work on it last week, even though I said I wasn't. And I didn't film it, so sorry about that, but I was just in a mega rush to get through some jobs. I was actually doing jobs I technically wasn't in the budget, just because I couldn't leave it, but I'll show you anyway. Show you what I was up to last week and what I'm up to now. So as I said, I cheated a little bit. 2 reasons. Well, actually 3 reasons. 1, I didn't film it, which is, well, what I should be doing. 2, I shouldn't have been working on this car. I should have been working on other things like I said I would. And 3, the work that I was doing wasn't technically part of the budget, what we budgeted for, but there was just some things I couldn't leave, and it was the ideal opportunity to do it, so that's why I rushed through it, didn't film it. It was basically, from previous videos, you'll have seen everything was covered in blue overspray, axle, spring, shocks, everything. So I did the absolute bare minimum, the quickest job I could to get this looking a little bit more presentable. And to be fair, it looks quite good. All calipers, even the disc sensors, well, the discs were really rusty. I cleaned them up, cleaned the sensors with some heat-proof grey, stripped the calipers down, which was like a 5-minute job, quick scotch over, removed the rubbers and stuff, paint them with heat-proof silver, leaf springs, shocker plates, bump stops, axle case, shock absorbers, axle bump stop, shocker bar. Everything was just quick, buzz down with some 320s on a DA, make it look presentable, bit of primer, bit of paint, and it looks much better. To be fair, there's no overspray, it looks presentable. It's never going to be perfect, but while it was all off, while I was checking things and, you know, painting the look, I've actually painted that Olympic blue, the body brackets. Shading looks a bit off, but it's brand new paint. Back to it, I got interrupted by the delivery driver. So yeah, I just blew these in with some 2K aerosol. It's a bit more blue than the rest of the car, but to be fair, I don't know how long ago it was painted. It's quite dirty and dull, and you know, painted all the, just give it a touch up under here, just so there's no bare metal, where I welded the tank platform in and painted in the boot as well. But as you can see, it looks much better. It's now got tramp bars, already dismounted. I put the spacer plates in the end of the axle. I fitted the extra wheel stud that was missing. I've also got a Group 4 stud to go on the front, and I've got the new hub nut assemblies, but I'll show you them in a minute. Basically, it looks much better. A lot cleaner, a lot more presentable. Yes, it wasn't in the budget, but it was worth doing, and I'll be honest with you, it took a lot less time than it looked. It didn't take long at all. As I said, just quick buzz down, quick lick over some black paint, make it look good, and yeah. I had to strip it all down anyway to paint the body. I wanted to check everything was tight, you know, so ideal opportunity. So as I was saying, I've got a Group 4 stud for the front. This one, picked up from Rally Design. looks very similar to the original. This shank's a little bit longer. Hopefully that's not going to cause any problems. We'll see when I get it on the car, try it. It's just a case of knocking in there, put the nut on the back, and job's a good one. Make sure it works. Next, if you watched the previous video, you'll have known that I can't get a split pin through the hub nut because this hub nut comes out further. And after a bit of digging, it turns out it's because these are big bearing Group 4 style hubs. So the options are to either re-drill the end of the stub axle, which I'm not really keen on, or the other option is you buy these things from Rally Design, which are locking hub nuts. So I'm going to give these a try. I've never used them before, but I've seen them on other cars, so hopefully as long as they thread on okay, we can lock them up with this 5mm Allen key bolt. That should do the job of locking hubs on there, but I'll give it a try. Well, that's annoying. So I have to fit in the wheel stud and the wheel spacer that the car come with. You can see that one, so it's flush, and the new one, so it's passed. So that won't work. So it's going to have to come back out, annoying as it is. Shouldn't be too much hassle. A bit more digging, work out where these come from. We shall see. Anyway, let's get onto this hub nut. I'm going to whip this one off and show you what we're dealing with. So, with the hub nut removed, you can just spot the hole in the stub axle where the original split pin would go, and that's the original setup as it would have left the factory. Hub nut with a cage, castle nut if you like, with the recesses for split pins to go through, and through the stub axle to lock everything up so it can't come loose. What someone said in one of my videos was check to see if the races have been fitted properly, and I have done. The races are all sat flush as they should be, so no, it's not that. But after some research, some digging, it turns out the big bearings, the Group 4 hubs and big bearings, mean this won't fit, so you have to re-drill the stub axle. But I don't want to do that, so I've got these instead, which are specially designed for this application. So all being well, these have been machined properly. The only concern is whether the grease cap will fit. I guess we'll find out. So it's going to be tight with the grease cap. I'll get this nipped up, locked up, and try a grease cap. Oh, wait. It's still 27. Oh, a little bit less. Just talk to myself, don't wait. Yes, I'm using the wrong spanner. I can't be bothered going to the toolbox. Tiny slightly. Oh, well, that's tricky. Right, let's just put the camera down and do this properly instead of doing it cack-handed. Bit better. So really, that's it. Now I'm not going to bash the grease cap on just. Yeah, you know what? Sod it. I'm going to try it. See if it actually works. Is it going to fit? Well, that's a result. Fits with the grease cap as well. So, not all bad. Got one job sorted. So now I can go to the other side, strip all the hub down, struts, get the wheel off, get the hub off because I need to put locking tabs on this side. Obviously swap that locking nut, a few bits and pieces, but that's one problem sorted. Still got to get that stud back out and rectify that, but I've got a hub nut sorted. Don't need to drill the stub axle, so it was worth buying. It wasn't expensive. I think it was about £17, something like that, from Rally Design, and they worked. So winner. Thankfully, the Group 4 stud was very cheap, which is now useless to me, but hey ho, you live and learn. So underneath the car, I can't remember where I showed you up to, all the back axles back in, a few bits left to torque up, like the shocker mounts and the leaf spring mounts, stuff like that. I just want to do that when it's got a bit of weight in it and, you know, on its wheels. Quickly underneath, started plumbing in the brake lines, only to realise that the calipers do actually move slightly on the sliders, so they're going to have to be done in braided. So I've ordered some Dash 3 AN fittings and stainless line. As soon as they arrive, I'll make the braided lines for the back axle. The flexi is mounted to the axle. It's now coming through the floor instead of running underneath the car, because it's run the bias pedal box and the brake line will be running inside the car. So it actually punches through underneath this sort of fake floor, if you like. So I will have to plumb that in, make a brake pipe up for that. The boot looking a bit tidier, give it a quick coat of blue paint, because I obviously welded the tank mount in. Clean the tank up as best I could, painted the tank straps because they were starting to, they've been painted but they were starting to get a bit of surface rust on them. Just spent the bare minimum time I could on cleaning everything up, just to make it look better, more presentable, neater. So my next job was jump inside the car and make the hard line from the pedal box all the way down the tunnel and under this false floor for the rear brake pipes. And as soon as I opened the door, I noticed that check straps, the pins were missing, so I've ended up sorting them. I come to open that door and then realised that the external door handle doesn't work. So before I go any further, I'm sick of reaching through and opening the door from inside. I'm going to whip that door card off, sort that door out so it actually opens, and then I was thinking of making the brake pipe, but then I thought all this wiring is coming out to be corrected, made neat. I'm going to put a switch panel in the middle to house all the gauges and switches. So I think the best thing to do is get rid of all this wiring while I'm working on the interior, just to try and clear up some space so I can make the brake pipes. Another thing I would like to thank Howard Hodson for my new GoPro 10. This is actually the first donation to the channel. So virtually brand new GoPro GoPro 10 Black. And the reason being, he's a customer of mine. I've known him for quite some time. Actually built his red Z-Tech Turbo Mark II Escort, and he come in and he complained about the sound, like the volume was up and down and all over the place. So I said, well, it's actually not the first time I've heard that. And he said, have you got yourself a GoPro? Try and get one of them, that might help. I went, yeah, I'll put it to an old one. He went, right, I've got one, I've never used it, you can have it. So just want to thank Howard for his donation. It was very nice of him. So I have to use it now. Another thing, I will be investing in a microphone as well to clip on me, just to keep the volume a bit better for you. So first job, I'm going to whip this door card off, sort out this external door handle because I'm sick of opening it through the window. Another thing I noticed is these door lock pulls are pointing in the wrong way. I actually think that is door lock pull out of that door and vice versa. So I'll probably, while this door panel's only clipped on, I'll probably swap them at the same time too and clean them up, make it look a bit neater. Possibly put some grommets on there if we've got them. Yeah, like I say, every little job turns into 5 more jobs. So as you can see, it's probably just popped off inside. So I'm going to get this door panel stripped down. It's now got a check strap on there so I can open the door without it catching. And fix this door handle, swap these door lock pulls. So as I said, first job is fix this door handle, which is pretty simple really. These are actually cap head bolts. There should be 2 Phillips screws there. There should be 2 Phillips screws under here for the door handles, but they're cap head again, they've been replaced. And then just get a trim tool, pop all the plastic clips off, get the door panel out of the way, see what's going on. So with the door panel removed, I can clearly see the problem. Well, the first one I spotted was the door lock's been fitted wrong, so this little piece here should slide over that steel sleeve behind it to lock and unlock. Also the clip has been fitted wrong. The main problem is there's no bar. the actual bar is missing. That should go from that to that. I was hoping it fell off and gone in the door, but sadly the only thing I found in the door was an old bolt, which would have sounded great, and one of the retaining clips for the bar. So we're missing some parts. We're missing another one of these retaining clips, the plastic bungs that the bar goes through, which goes in the door handle and mechanism, and the bar itself. So for the time being, I'll go through these parts. Unless it's in there, I'm going to have to try and get one from somewhere. I can swap this door lock round, fix this, make sure it's actually the right door lock. You might have got the door locks mixed up, but that other door panel's coming off anyway because this is the wrong bar. This bar here needs swapping for that one in that door. So I think I'll get on with that. The door panel doesn't need to go back on for the time being. I'll get some parts ordered. And yeah, rip that door card off now, sort that bar, make sure we've got the right door locks, try and fit them properly, and order some more parts out. A washer too, that would have rattled, that would have sounded great. Yeah, I think that's it. Sadly, the bar is AWOL. So are the clips. Right then, anyway, let's carry on. So with the driver's door card removed, the plot thickens. That door lock's been fitted wrong too, which is a pretty simple fix. I think that's actually the door lock out the other side, hence why it doesn't line up with this piece of steel on the door mechanism. Door clip doesn't fit, and that is because that's the wrong door clip. They look more like Mark 3, Mark 4 Escort as opposed to Mark 1 Escort. And also, the actual bar that we're missing on the other side, on this side, is homemade. So, I'm going to be looking for a few more parts, and I think we need 1, 2, 3. Yeah, all kinds going on in here. This one's bent. Yeah, that would be as simple as I thought it'd be. I need some more parts as well now. Anyway, at least I know what I'm ordering, what I'm looking for. We'll carry on. So, we've got the door lock removed, and that's how it was fitted. Now anybody with a Mark 1 Escort knows it should be like that. So that means, oh, hang on, hang on, yes, no. So as you can see, the door lock switched around. It now, we can get in there, you can just about see it fits onto the tab as it's meant to, but because of this homemade bar on the back here, this tab should clear this in order to lock the door, but you can see it's clashing it because this homemade bar is just a touch too short. So I can't continue with this job until I've got a replacement bar for that, a proper one. So I'll have to get searching because I haven't got any in stock. Get a replacement bar for this side for the door opener, and find one for the passenger side because it's completely missing, as well as some clips and whatnot. So for the time being, I'm going to leave that. What I am going to do is start removing this wiring and then make the brake line for the rear brakes from the buyer's pedal box. So that's most of the wiring out. It's just it's still connected in the engine bay, so when I get it on the lift, I'll unhook all the lights and stuff and all the stuff in the bonnet. Got everything out of the way for this side. Something we did notice is it's not an original 6 style car. It's been cut out, and something else I noticed was it had, instead of having the original UNC bolts which go through, sandwich the dash and into this support under here, it just had nuts and bolts coming through. So I'm going to swap them out for the correct UNC bolts, get that mounted up. It'll be the same ones for the bottom of column 2. Do that while I remember, it's easy to access, and then I can start plossing out my rear brake pipe. I want to make sure the cylinders are correct, because you get a bigger cylinder for the rear brakes, smaller cylinder for the front brakes, and make sure they're in the right orientation before I start plotting out brake lines. and yeah, get the rear brake line in. Probably going to pull all these gauges and all these switches and stuff out the dash because they're not going to live there anymore. They're going to be moved into a switch panel in the center console, so I might as well just strip it bare so it's a clean slate, start again. Hence why I pulled all the wiring out, because it's had all kinds of repairs and it's joined in various different places, so I just want to neaten it up and just try and tidy it up best I can, really, make it safe. As you can see, I pulled the grille and headlights out, and that is because in order to pull the wiring loom out, obviously the headlight looms have to come out. Another reason I'm doing some work on the wiring loom, correcting it, is because this is the original wiring loom, which should be, it should actually go through this grommet in the inner wing. Sadly they've run it the wrong way. Not quite sure why, if there wasn't any space, but I'm pretty sure there's a better way to do it. So that is what I'm going to be doing. I'm going to be routing it all, putting it where it's meant to be, make it a lot neater, a lot safer, just generally better. So yeah, that's why the headlights are out, grill's off. I'm going to now start unpicking all the factory, the original Mark 1 loom, and also the Cosworth engine harness, which is sort of spliced into the Mark 1 loom enough to make it run, but not the stuff like the signal wires for the instruments, you know, like the tach, the temperature, they're not actually wired in, so it should be, it's only 3 wires to disconnect, and that should separate the engine harness from the Mark 1 main harness. But I'm just going to keep chipping away and removing all the wiring from the front end. I'm not removing the rear harness, that can stay in, that doesn't need to come out, but everything in the front and the cab needs to come out. So that is virtually every wire out the front end. The only thing left is the wasted spark harness, and that's because this goes through this little hole under here, which is too big for these plugs to go through, but sadly this was put through afterwards and terminated into the ECU. It's only 2 wires. So what I'll have to do is unpick them 2 terminals out the ECU plug, and then that harness can come out this way. And then I've got to come up with a devise a plan on how I'm going to get all this, the original Escort harness plus the ECU harness through, not that hole because it's too small, but we need a bigger hole in the bulkhead for the harness to come through. Well, that is most of the wiring out finally. It was an absolute nightmare trying to get it all through that hole under there. Each plug had to go through individually because it just wouldn't go. It was just too much of it. Well, that's the interior harness, the dashboard harness if you like. And then we've got all this lot that's just come through that hole. As you can see, there's just this one, which is left over, which terminates into the ECU plug. I can't remember which pins it was now, but I've got the wiring diagram somewhere, so it's just a case of unpicking them 2 terminals, remove it, and then the full harness can come out the car. So that's every bit of wiring out the front of the car, full front harness for the actual Mark 1 Escort, plus the engine harness and all the wasted spark harness, everything out. A lot of the items removed from the dash that aren't going to be used anymore, because they'll all be going in an aluminium switch panel in the centre. I've just got that last oil pressure gauge and the 2 mounts to take out, and that's the dashboard burr. I need to pull the pedal box out and swap the master cylinders around, because it looks like the bigger cylinder is on the wrong side, the bigger cylinder being the rear cylinder, because it has to push more to the rear. Anyway, so before I can start making the brake pipes, I need to pull the pedal box out, switch the cylinders, reinstall, and I can start making the brake pipes. A lot of the wiring I'm going to simplify. There's just unnecessary connectors here, there and everywhere, joining, you know, all kinds, but I just want to simplify it, make it a bit neater. Good news, some of the brake fittings for the axle, the pipe arrived. I literally ordered these yesterday morning. They arrived today from McGill Motorsport in Scotland, so really fast. I'll be buying from them again, can't complain. Got the braided line, which has got the rubber sheath on it as well, and our 20-degree M10 banjos. I've got the bolts and the washers for them already. So that's the only thing I need is the ends to go into our union, and then I can start making all the axle lines. But now I'm going to pull this pedal box out, disconnect the throttle cable, disconnect the clutch cable, and then I can just unbolt the pedal box off the bulkhead and swap the cylinders around, start making up some brake lines. First thing I wanted to do to remove the pedal box was adjust the clutch cable. Now, what I found was the clutch was actually depressed, so that probably would have slipped like mad anyway. And another thing I noticed is that you can see this sleeve has been getting caught in this stud on the steering knuckle. Another thing that will have to be addressed, maybe clip that out of the way somehow, keep it away from there. Anyway, we're a long way off worrying about that. So that's the clutch cable disconnected. I'm going to jump inside the car and disconnect the throttle cable. It's disconnected at the throttle body. So yeah, just disconnect that and then the pedal box can be pulled out. So I've removed the clutch cable. It's pretty simple. And removed the throttle cable. Now, as you can see, the throttle is, if I can focus on it, is a bit of a crazy contraption. Basically, they took the original barrel on the Cosworth throttle cable, drilled it, it slides over this bar, because this looks to be a Group 4 pedal, which normally pulls from here, from the top on a Group 4 Escort. But this has been altered, so it pulls from, oh god, my finger, rookie error. So this pulls from the original hole in the bulkhead where the throttle cable will go. The problem being, you can't see them now because I removed them, is the bias pots, the pipes come through there. So there's going to have to be some reworking on the throttle cable or the bias pots, because the two of them won't work in that space. You can actually see the light, the two round dots where the light is coming through off the pots, which is right in the way of the throttle pedal, sorry. So that's going to have to be reworked. I'm going to have to figure out how that's going to work, whether it means altering the pedal. I've got to alter the pedal anyway, I can't leave it like that. But I'm also, in order to keep the throttle cable coming through the bulkhead in the original position, I'm going to have to alter the pedal and make that work. But I am going to have to reposition the two reservoirs for the bias pedal box, because it's going to clash, as you can see. You can actually see the light shining on it where it's coming through. Yeah, so that's another reason why the pedal box is coming out. Anyway, it's all disconnected now. It's just 4 bolts in the engine bay, 4 M8 nuts, sorry, and the pedal box is free. With the pedal box out, you can see what I'm talking about. It's a little bit, well, yeah, you have to secure that. And what I've found is, I can never remember which way the cylinders go around. Every single pedal box, or 90% of the pedal boxes I've come across, the cylinders are the opposite way around. So that needs to be rectified. Also, this return spring should be on the back. It should clip into that tang there and go to that hole just up there you can spot. So that needs swapping to the back, so it constantly keeps pressure on the cable so it can't pop off. And I've noticed that the balance bar is actually locked up solid because this nut has been tightened up onto it. I'm guessing this is a locking nut of sort, but I don't think it should be butt right up against this joint on the end, so the balance bar won't be working effectively. So anyway, some work. Let's get this throttle pedal out of the way first. That's pretty simple. A couple of clips. Should just pull out. A little bit tight. That return spring won't help. There we go. Right, start out the way, pretty straightforward. Come back to that in a minute. Start stripping it down and soften these cylinders side to side. Which again, straightforward. You can see it's not locked up, but you certainly can adjust it. You should be able to turn this freely. Everything seems to be running parallel. Anyway, I'm going to put the camera down and start doing some more investigation. So with that lock nut removed, the actual balance bar is working as it should. As you can see, pushing the 625 cylinder more, which is the front brakes, which is exactly what you wanted before. It was locked up square and it was doing 50-50 braking. Not what you want with the MK1 ESCORT with rear discs. It'll just lock the back brakes up every time. And something else I've noticed is this lock nut here is loose and the rod is extended all the way in and it is pushed up on the pivot in the balance bar. So again, that'll cause problems, so that needs backing off. You usually find is you need to cut, from experience, I don't know if this is a rally design pedal box, but in the past you've usually had to cut a couple of threads off that because you can't extend it all the way in because it'll touch on touch on the pivot, and if you don't adjust it all the way in, when your brakes warm up, you end up with brake bind because everything expands, the brake fluid's got nowhere to go because this cylinder's pressed. So I'm going to have to remove the cylinders, chop say 3 or 4 threads off the end of that so it's not bottoming out. The cylinders can release completely and everything will work as it should. So I'm going to get these cylinders off, wind them out of the balance bar and just trim a few threads off the end of them just so it works properly. So while I had the pedal box out, I thought I'll just give it a quick scotch over and a quick coat of black paint just so it's all one colour. There's no dirt, dust, grime, overspray, paint dots. You know, it didn't need doing. The customer said just concentrate on safety and stuff like that, but if he did change his mind and decide he wants to paint that, then it'd be a case of splitting all the brake lines and a whole world of pain trying to. So for what it's took me, less than an hour, quick once over, happy days, until I found this. So for some reason you can see just how much has been cut out of this end, and up there you can see just how much has been cut out. Now anybody who's driven a car with a bias pedal box will know you really have to push on this brake pedal in order to get this car to stop, because you don't have a servo, there's no assistance, it's all in your leg. So that seriously weakened that brake pedal, and I'm confused as to why it's been cut. There's a hell of a lot of material been took out of the back of that. So basically, you know, you've got this to strengthen this area. We're now down to 10 mil, probably less, maybe less than 10, that's definitely less than 10 mil down this end. So I am going to have to put some material back in that pedal because I don't know what pedal box this is. It's an aftermarket one, or it's a rally design or what. It doesn't look like it with the black anodized pieces. I don't recall rally design doing them in black. I might be wrong. Either way, chances we're going to be able to buy a new pedal on its own probably slim to none. So I need to clean this up and add some material back to it, even if it's just cut like some box section trimmed down, just something to add a bit of strength, because that will snap. I have no doubt about it. I know what brake force is used to stop these cars, and that is not enough material. I would predict it's going to snap there, you know, right on the thinnest point. Yeah, not good. So I need to do some welding on this and tidy it up, make it look presentable, and give it a coat of black. I've already done the clutch pedal, I've done the housing. I just need to put some material back in this and paint it, and then I'll start putting the pedal box back together. Well, it ain't pretty, it ain't bending. Got some box section, I think it's like, don't know what's that, 30x15 or something. Chop the back out of it and welded it in. Don't think that's going to be snapping anytime soon, so give that a clean up, bit of a grind, flick it over with some paint, and then we start putting the pedal box back together. And we've got the pedal box put back together. The thing I haven't done is pedal rubbers because they need a good clean up. Looks a bit better, a bit neater. I did swap the cylinders round after a bit of research, and I also set the balance bar up like this because apparently, and it's new to me, this is how you set them up. I've never done it this way, but after a long conversation with my mate George over in the Isle of Wight, and then he's been backing it up with information that he's found from places like Rally Design and some other places, apparently this is how you set the balance bar up. Like I say, it's new to me. I've never done it this way before, but I have always had problems with buyer's pedal boxes, and maybe this is where it was going wrong. Guess we'll find out. So yeah, as I said, the cylinders were on the wrong side. Swapped them round, done a bit of research. This is how Gartrap pedal boxes are set up, with the 625 here and the 0.7 rear cylinder that side. And also when you go on the Rally Design website, I'm pretty sure this is a Rally Design pedal box, that shows that the 625, the front cylinder, is nearest the door. The bigger cylinder for the rear is nearest the tunnel. I'm sure people will argue that, but that's how it's going to be. So I'm going to get that back in the car and then start making some brake lines. Finally, start with the rear first. That can run to the back across the tunnel. Anyway, let's get it in the car first. I cheated and did some work without filming. That's the rear brake line plumbed in, clipped to the bulkhead all the way down the tunnel, through the rear bulkhead or the rear seat brace, and through to the rear brake fitting, which will be underneath this false floor, which is peeled back for the time being while I work on it. Just put some cable tie saddles in, some little pieces of rubber hose around the brake pipe to really secure it. I think that'll do the job, it's not going anywhere. Now onto the front brake pipes, which has to go, so that's the right front going into the union, the left front has to go into this side, and then from the top of that to the master cylinder. So that's the next job. I didn't bother filming making the brake pipes because I've done plenty of videos where, you know, I've done videos and there's plenty of videos where it shows you making them. They're not particularly hard. I just thought I'd get on with it. There's all the front brake lines done too. So we got the right front across into the top right of the top part of the T-piece. Obviously the left out and over to the left, and then the bottom one comes out and into the front cylinder. Is it the neatest job I've ever done? No. Will it work? Absolutely. So that'll do. It's all clipped, all bolted. The only thing I'm missing is one bulkhead fitting for this side, which is on order, it's on its way. I thought I had two bulkhead fittings, in fact it wasn't. So that one's now on the correct bulkhead fitting, this one isn't. Still lots to do in here, but brake pipes are out the way. What I'm going to do now is get it on the lift, because I need to make the brake pipe that goes from the flexi up to that bulkhead fitting, and that's all the hard lines done. While it's on the lift, the rest of me fittings turned up to do the braided lines for the axle. So I'll get that last hard line out of the way, and then I can start making up the two lines for the back axle, and then I don't know what I'm doing next. We'll see how it goes, but I'll get on the lift and carry on with the brakes. That is the last hard line made and fitted. The only thing we've got to do is fit the bulkhead fitting when it arrives any day now, because that isn't the correct bulkhead fitting. There's no way of tightening it to the bulkhead. So as soon as that lands, I can fit that and potentially put brake fluid in, because I also made the braided lines. I need securing properly. Now the calipers are on flexies, all the way through and across to this side. First time I've used this Teflon coated stainless line. In hindsight, I probably should have put that on a 90, but it'll do the job. That's it, all plumbed in. So that's all the brake pipes made now. So next job is, I've already had this hub off. So on this side, I need to pull the hub off, fit locking tabs on the back of the disc because it hasn't got any. Just check everything over, locking tabs on the caliper. And I'm pretty sure when I remove this, there'll be no split pin because you can't fit a split pin because they're Group 4 hubs. Instead, we've got this gadget for locking up the wheel bearing. So I'm going to strip all this down, caliper off, hub off, locking tabs, put it all back together. The hub removed, I swapped this nut on here for a proper half nut because it had some sort of, anyway, it had the wrong nut on there. Put a proper half nut on there. I have to replace these bent rivets with some split pins. I'll just check wire it straight down, just check all the torques on these, replace them with split pins. Just give this corner a check over, and I need to look at the spacing on the caliper because it looked like one pad was touching, whereas there was a gap down the other side. So it's quite common with M16 spaced ones, the spacing isn't correct. So I need to look into that. And got the hub off. This is why I've got it off, because I should have these on here, locking the bolts up. It has got some sort of serrated washers, but I prefer to use the proper locking tabs. So while I'm in there checking it out, I might as well do them. It looks like it's got new bearings, RD759, they're rally design bearings. Yeah, just whip these bolts out, put these under, torque them up and then lock them up. So the job ticked off, it's them locked up, torqued up to 13 £4. I always torque them like in a crisscross order, and then lock all the locking tabs up. So that shouldn't come loose now. I can get that back on the car, and well, before this goes on, I'm going to spot them, put some split pins in the steering arms, check all the torques on the suspension, and then refit this. Oh, in fact, I want to check all the, make sure these are tight to the Group 4 studs. I'm basically just checking everything before it goes back together, because after speaking with the owner, he said a lot of things were done as a temporary measure just to get it rolling, so we have to assume everything is loose. That's the steering arms to strut torqued up, split pins fitted, the trotted end torqued up, bottom ball joint torqued up. That's everything checked over. The only thing I've not done is the roll bar and split pin, but I purposely leave split pins on roll bars to last and locking tabs on calipers to last. That's one of my final procedures, torque the wheels, split pins. But anyway, the reason I've left this is because the cross member's getting changed, engine cross member's getting changed. We're going for a lowered rack cross member, so we won't touch the sump anymore. So there's a good chance the roll bar will be coming off. Also, it's got a coolant leak on the front of the engine. In order to get to that, intercooler rad has to come out, and I think the anti-dive kit and roll bar will have to come out. Hence why I'm not bothering torquing this up or split pinning it. So now that corner's all checked over, I've already done the strut top. I can get this hub back on and start getting the caliper back on. I need to work on the caliper spacing, because like I said, I think the caliper spacing is slightly off. For the time being, I'm going to get this hub on, get it torqued up, get it locked up, and move on to the caliper. Also, something I need to keep in mind is we need to do geometry on the front of this, because it's got massive negative camber. It's hard to see at this point. Well, you can probably see it on this hub, and that's before it's even at ride height. That's because the bottom arms have been wound out. They're adjustable TCAs, they're wound out, and it's on eccentric top mounts, which is, you can see, are wound right in, which is giving some extreme camber. so they need to be addressed, or probably turn them. It could really do with having just fixed top mounts on it, like some spherical fixed top mounts, but because they're adjustable, I will probably turn them so give it a bit more caster, and which will give it better turning, but also will eradicate a bit of the camber. So come to fit the caliper, and spotted another little problem, and it is only a little problem, but it's something I'd prefer to rectify while I can, and that is the caliper bolts. So the thread's correct for the strut. Can't remember what the thread is. I think it's like a M10 or a 3/8 UNF, but actually the shank is a smaller diameter. So the caliper bolts, I've replaced them on the other side because one of them was a bolt and one of them was you can't actually see them, but I replaced them with the correct 19mm head caliper bolts, as you can see, much bigger. These are not, these are like a 9/16 head and a smaller shank. So I'm gonna have a dig around, see if I can find another 2 caliper bolts. If not, I'll have to take a trip to go and see Graham over at GS Classic Ford, see if he's got a pair of caliper bolts. There was something else I need to see about, the bars and clips and stuff for the door handles. So I'll give him a call first, see if he's got the bits in. I might have to call over there this afternoon and collect some bits and pieces. So yeah, for the time being, the caliper can't go on. You can see the difference in there. The last thing you want, I know it'll tighten up, but with the correct bolt, the shank is machine fit for there, so there's no chance of the caliper moving around. So yeah, I'll have a dig around, see what I can find. Correct caliper bolts. Very little play in there now. You see the size difference. So we've got a caliper bolt kit and the correct spacers for vented M16s. So that should cure our spacer problem and our rattly bolt problem. So I'm going to get them on. We'll trial fit them first, make sure I'm happy with the spacing, because I've had it before where the spacing still isn't right. But we'll try it, see how we get on. So you'd think that'd be a simple job, putting some new caliper bolts in the spacers, everything could be fine. Not so, because these are what look like Raleigh Design reproduction calipers. I don't know what the discs are. I'm assuming they're the right diameter. Passenger side seems fine. Driver's side, sorry. Spins freely. No problems. Let's see the machine on this. Yeah, although it's close, it's not touching anywhere. So this side, I've managed to get, let me just turn the steering. Managed to just about get the top bolt in, as you can see. The bottom bolt is nowhere near, and the reason for that is, I don't know if you can see it, the caliper is touching the disc. It looks like the caliper hasn't been machined out enough to clear the brake disc. Bottom is fine. Don't get me wrong, I've not got a bolt in, so maybe once the bolt goes in, you can see just how far off the pad it is. Yeah. So I'm going to take the caliper off and have a look at, I'm going to pull the pads out first and have a look at just how much needs to be trimmed out of it. I might have to shave some out of the caliper. Oh, the joys. As you can see, I've split the caliper down, removed the spacer from the centre, removed the front from the back, bolted the back half up, cover this side up so I don't want anything getting in the caliper, and as you can see, it spins freely. So this casing is not the problem. It would appear the front casing is the issue. So what I'm going to do is just power file just a touch out of here, try and keep it as flat as possible. And the same here, and hopefully that should be enough. Again, I'll mask this up so I don't want any swarf or anything going inside the caliper. So that's our spacing corrected. And also spins freely. It's close, but we can live with close. Oh, that light over there. Yeah, it's close, but it's not touching. Job done. So I can now fit it up properly with the locking tabs, put the pads and stuff back in, and that little job is finally finished. Why are my hands shaking? Hold my camera funny. I'm an idiot. I'm an idiot. So I've come to put this brake pipe back on, which I never tightened up. I just mocked it up before, and noticed it feels a bit loose on there. You know, almost like it's a metric fitting on an imperial pipe, and that's because it is. See how these have got like a bit of an angled top to them with the line in the side, just like all the other imperial fittings I've used on this car. You know, same down here, same here. Must have picked the wrong fitting up, made the pipe and fitted it. So, just when I thought I was finished making brake pipes, I've got to remake that. But with that fitting on there. Idiot. So that's this corner done, all spanner checked, happy with everything apart from adjusting the geometry. But that's later down the line. Everything is new split pins, locked up. I haven't locked the calipers up yet. I've torqued them, I just haven't locked them up yet, just in case they're going to come off. Yeah, all spacing's good. Remade that brake pipe because I'm an idiot. Noticed there's some yellow marks on things. That's because I'm going around just checking all the brake pipes now, because I've put that many brake pipes in recently. I've gone around and spanner checked them all and put a paint marker on them all just so I know they're done. Same on the back end, you know. Just checked all the brake fittings. So that's all the brake fittings on the back end done now. The only ones I've got to do is check on the inside, on all the bulkhead fittings, replace this fitted up here with the correct one when it lands, which should be tomorrow. And then that is all the brake lines, hard lines finished. I can then concentrate on getting these pots mounted on the bulkhead somewhere where the pipes are going to go through and not interfere with the throttle cable. But that's probably for the next video. I'm going to end this one off here because I've done lots of clips over the past couple of weeks, so it's all probably starting to mount up. I don't want the video to be too long, so I'm going to end it off here. As ever, thanks for watching, taking the time to watch. Sorry there's been such a break in content recently. I'll try and get on top of it again, catch up. I do have lots of content, lots of videos waiting to go out, but it's just finding time. So I'm going to put this one out and then catch up on everything else. But as ever, thanks for watching. Please like, share, subscribe. You know, it all helps. Still a small channel, still growing. So thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next video.